So it's that time again when we take you through the morning's newspapers. I've got the journalists Afua Hagan and Thomas Copeland with us once again this morning. Good to see you back again. And we're going to kick off. We've been delving inside the papers, haven't we, for the last hour. You've picked out a story, Afua, in the Daily Mail, and this is Lord Guide, Boris Johnson's ethics advisor, who resigned earlier in the week, clarifying his position about why he resigned. He's written another letter, hasn't he? So what's he said?
Yes, so this was after Lord Guide resigned on Wednesday night about 6:30 p.m. And when it happened, it seemed a kind of strange time for someone to resign, especially the Prime Minister's ethics advisor. If he really had a problem with the Prime Minister's ethics, why didn't resign sort of like, 10 days earlier after the Sue Gray report came out, or even before when the first accusations of Partygate came out. So it was a bit strange when it happened on Wednesday night, and his initial resignation letter didn't really say much of everything. So like you so rightly said, he issued another letter on Thursday, and he claimed he was left in an impossible and odious position after being asked to sign off on measures that risk a deliberate and purposeful breach of the ministerial code. He didn't spell out of the details or any potential serious charges, so I'm not sure if, in fact, this letter makes it more clear or in fact more murky of why he resigned in the first place. I feel like even with this second resignation letter, there's much more to this story. The timing was strange. The fact that he issued a second letter is odd as well. So I feel like there's still more layers to peel on this story, and there's things that we just don't know yet.
No, but one thing you do know is you get that sense of his levels of frustration, don't you, with the two letters combined, at least. So, Thomas, let's move us on, shall we? We are going inside the Times next, and this is Boris Johnson's surprise visit to Kiev and announcing an offer of training for Ukrainian forces.
That's right. Boris Johnson's a very popular figure now in Ukraine, seen as sort of leading this Western response to the invasion by Russia. No wonder he probably wants to get away with some of the questions that Afua just put forward about Lord Guide and by-election challenges and all sorts of the challenges that he's got here in the UK. A surprise visit to Kiev there and announcing new program of training British military, training Ukrainian military. There's a real risk, actually, as the war in Ukraine drags on, that the world sort of moves on, forgets about it, or moves from the military aspect of it to the political aspect of it. And there were some senior European Union figures, including President Macron, with Zelensky earlier this week, discussing issues like Ukraine's political position within the European Union. But actually this question of the military intervention is a continuing one, and a very serious one, especially on the eastern side of the country that has under continued bombardment from Russia. So this is a program whereby the resources that the British can offer and can offer well, which is training and expertise to train Ukrainian soldiers, 10,000 over a 120-day period in Estonia and Poland and neighbouring countries, in order to better operate and run a lot of the equipment and military hardware that the UK has donated to Ukraine. And so this is an area where Boris Johnson is very popular in terms of policy. Whether that will translate to support at home, I think, is probably an open question. He gets a lot of kudos probably from voters on that specific issue, but only time will tell in by-elections and general elections to come in the future whether this will be something he'll be rewarded for on the political sphere.
Well, yes, that's right. And the fact that the visit was a surprise and meant he pulled out at the last minute of a meeting amongst his northern MPs. Interesting to know how that went down as well. Some reports that some of them were a bit frustrated at that. Let's move on to another issue. There's so much around, isn't there, Afua, in the papers? The Guardian picking up on the decision yesterday to extradite Julian Assange to the US.
Yeah, a real range of stories, like you said. But yes, this story in The Guardian is about Priti Patel. She's approved the extradition of WikiLeaks co-founder Julian Assange to the US. WikiLeaks has said that this is not the end of the fight. He said it's only the beginning of a new legal battle, and we will appeal through the legal system, and the next appeal will be before the High Court. And of course, this is all about the document dump that was done in 2010, which was diplomatic cables, 250,000 of them. Some were published in The Guardian and some were published elsewhere. And all about the secrets that were revealed. It said that what he was done is illegal, but a lot of people are saying, look, this is an attack on journalists, that Julian Assange was doing what he should have done, doing his job, exposing what was happening, different situations and circumstances in the United States, and actually what he was doing was a public service. So a lot of people think that this sets a dangerous precedent for journalists, that they could be jailed if they're revealing secrets that they deem are in the public interest. So like we said, this is not over. WikiLeaks saying that they are going to appeal this and going to the Court of Appeal, but Julian Assange at the moment still remains imprisoned.
That's right, and the Home Office saying they had no grounds to stop his extradition and trust that he'd be treated appropriately in the US. So it will be interesting to see what happens as a result of that appeal. Let's move on to lighter things, shall we, Thomas? Because Kate Bush back in the headlines again, which is something I'd celebrate, being old enough, neither of you are old enough to remember her hit, I'm sure, first time around. But she's back at the top of the charts again, isn't she?
Well, exactly, and the wonderful thing about this story actually is, I understand that you were talking about this earlier, it's the largest gap between the release of the song and going to number one. And also, I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying, and good news for Kate Bush, is that she owns 100% of the song. She produced it herself, she owns the licensing and all the copyright as well. So I think that pretty much means that she gets all the money from this. I was reading earlier on in the day that I think she gets something like 25 or 250 grand a week or something from it going to number one. So good on her, and the lesson is write a good song, and you will get the payback one day. They used to say that about Christmas songs: write a Christmas song and you'll never have to work another day in your life. Kate Bush, finally she's got her reward for writing a song that clearly is timeless and has resonated with audiences now. And I suppose she may thank Netflix and Stranger Things as well for bringing it back into the public attention, because that the global popularity that it's found is just spectacular. And it's there's such serendipity or randomness about songs like this going back to number one. There's something so wonderful.
Afro, you're nodding there. Are you a fan?
I'm a big fan of this song. I don't remember it the first time it came around, but
It's all right, I'm older than you, I know.
And I'm really glad this has gone to number one. It's brilliant for Kate Bush. She's the oldest woman to top the chart, and of course the biggest gap between a song being released and it getting to number one. But this is also a really good point about how the charts are calculated to do with streams and how streams translate into sales. And I think it's really good that this song does have the chance to be at number one, because it's earned that. It was streamed enough times, and I'm glad that it's been given the recognition it deserves.
Everything's changed so much, hasn't it? Afro and Thomas, we've really appreciated your company this morning. Thanks both very much indeed.